y'all. Welcome back to another episode. Man, look, y'all know actually, man, Wednesday to Wednesday, what it do. So I appreciate y'all for coming back. But today, we have a special guest. But you know who I am, so I ain't even gotta say it. You know who he is over there, Zone, so we ain't gotta say it. But today we got a special guest. Hey, that boy had to show yet. But let me put it down like this. Today we got artist, MC, hip hop historian. You know what I'm saying? Because if you ask him something about some hip hop, some rap, he gonna know, and not like in one of them preachy ways, neither. Not like in one of them hating ways, neither. He's an OG. He's an OG, and not because he old or nothing like that, because he be offering game for sure. That's what he is. We got Lyfestile, y'all. What's the word?
Man, I appreciate that intro, man. That's what's up, man. Oh, man. That's what's up. Hey, I'm just glad to be here with y'all, brothers, man.
And not to mention, you's a stand-up guy for your family and a stand-up guy for the community, brother. Salute.
Much appreciated, man. Like minds,
man. Facts. But what's the word, man?
Oh, man.
How y'all brothers been feeling, man? What's the word? How y'all been feeling? What's the word with you?
Good, man. Good. Just, earlier watching. Oh, go ahead.
My bad.
Oh, no, it's all good. I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here. You know, like I was saying earlier, I've been watching y'all do y'all thing, man. I'm trying to do my thing too, man. So I'm studying y'all, man, trying to get up on stuff, man. You know, other than that, man, you know, working on music, trying to do what I can, you know, for the community and trying to stay safe out here, man. You know.
Zone, bro. What you had cracking, bro? You say, man, you was streaming a little bit earlier. You was.
Oh yeah, me and L Streets, we had watched Gamescom, and they talking about the games just coming out during the next few months. And then we actually are now. I just want to go ahead on and drop this announcement that Beats of This Podcast Network is now live on your major podcasting services. You know what I'm saying? We on Apple, we on Google, we on Spotify, we about to be on Amazon, Stitcher. We about to be on a few more blocks, is Hayes say. So it's going down. So
you know, more blocks, huh? We on a few more blocks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You know it. So you know it's pretty much it's up basically. You know what I'm saying? So we are here, and you know I'm excited to see where we take it now. The different people that's gonna run into the podcast. Yeah. You know, it's a good time, you know, to be alive. You know, we getting ready to go to Dragon Con. So me and my lady, that loopy chick, we just released our first episode of the Lil Blurs podcast. That's not a Beats and Bits podcast production. It's some, you know, in-house between me and her. So y'all go check that out, the lilblurs.com. And you know, shoot, just and then you got this show at Paint STL, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, you tell them about that.
Yeah, man, I was gonna throw that out there. That's one of them legendary events that been going down, right? Lifestyle since since the early 90s, right?
Oh yeah, Paint Lewis, yeah, since the late 90s. It's one of the best graffiti exhibitions, you know, in the country, you know, and definitely the longest graffiti wall in the world as far as legal walls, I think, you know. So yeah, it's an incredible event.
Yeah, it's a big thing, and definitely something for people to come out to and bring out the kids and just walk and watch.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there.
Down on the wall down there, yeah, facts, because they be getting busy too on that wall too, for real.
Yep, people from all over the country, all over the world.
On the Mural Mile, I think.
Yeah,
where they know it's downtown right there. Pull up. Man, it's been a lot of stuff going on, man. Like, it's been a lot of stuff going on, man, from Kanye to the milk crate challenge. There's been a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just saying, man, there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on. But the biggest thing, though, has been the milk crate challenge, man. And what y'all think about the milk crate challenge?
I think it's stupid. I mean, it's stupid because I only really see black folks doing it this time around. All the other challenges I seen, other folks do it. Which on one hand, I'm actually happy because a lot of times black folks, they get their movements kind of jacked. So when we start a dance challenge or whatever, then the white creators are on there. They gonna get more eyeballs unless it's a girl on there twerking.
Dog that took
You
it to
know what I'm
some
saying?
like the white people ain't. That's how you feel.
Yeah, yeah, because I feel as though, when it comes to us, like we don't see the like the pot. What we do sometimes, like I can't say we
You
don't, but
turning
that's
the
what
whole
gets.
world, man, into jackass stars, man. Like that's just
I
all it
mean,
is.
basically, you know what I'm saying?
Like
Like
it's funny to me.
Yeah, I mean,
basically,
I can't act like I haven't been entertained by it. I mean, I can't front like I haven't been watching the little clips. Um, it's just not something I'm interested in participating in. It looks kind of like people be getting fucked up. You know what I mean? But
That shit be
you
having
know,
me rolling, bro. I was so one
man,
night, man. I was bugging up so hard at so many videos, bro.
yeah,
For
yeah,
man,
me, I don't take it that deep like that. I just look at the stuff, laugh, and move on. Now, at some point, okay, now when I seen it on the world news, and I was like, man,
yeah,
I
because
just,
it's
I just, I just laughed still, even then when I seen it on world news, and they were saying that I don't know if it's the F something they were saying it was some organization that was saying don't do it, and I just shook my
you
head.
know,
Then I just was like, man, we wilding, bro.
man, I'm trying to tell you. Shout out to everybody that's watching us, man, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Shout out to everybody. We appreciate everybody coming through. Y'all
Yeah,
make sure y'all go and follow our guest Lifestyle first and foremost.
yeah.
Let me go ahead and copy get his profile. That's what if y'all see me looking down, I'm over here doing being promo man. But
What you
but
do, bro? Let you do you.
yeah, so
Shakara Richardson. They
yeah,
tried to dog my girl. They tried to dog my girl.
right.
They tried to dog her out. But come on now, you can't do it like that because oh, I even said some people were saying that she the fastest over here, but not when she go over there against them Jamaicans. Like running against other Jamaican women, she's not that fast because they
mhm.
faster.
I don't know, man. I
I
think
think she just go ahead, Lifestyle. Go ahead, you take it away.
I mean, I think it's just interesting. I mean, obviously she's fast. We saw that last one that she lost, but I mean, it's a
Right.
lot of people on the sidelines talking about stuff that they're not really experts on. And I feel like with
Yeah.
social media, it's so easy for us to just go in and criticize people, and I feel like sometimes that's the only power people feel like they have sometimes is to take somebody that's really doing something and be like, oh well, they're this and that and try to pick them apart, and it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't, I'm not trying to counter out at this point. I don't know what's going to happen, but obviously she's a great athlete, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
we'll see what happens.
Hmm.
What you
Oh
think about
yeah.
it?
Um, I just feel
You
like
think that she was making up excuses like how people were saying like after she did her
no,
interview after and she said what she said? You think she was making excuses?
no,
I mean, because that's what I was reading in the comments. Now, I ain't
no.
saying this. I don't think she was neither, but people were saying this stuff.
People kicking her while she down. That's just all it is. That's what it all comes and boils down to.
Basically, yeah.
Is
Basically.
that when you had this young lady, she made a grave mistake. Well, I ain't gonna say a grave mistake, but I'm gonna say she made
You put her down.
I mean, it was a grave mistake because when and I say this for myself, like I've made grave mistakes. I've made and some of which I have shared on this platform. Um, but I'm just not in the. I never jumped on the train of, oh, she shouldn't have been smoking or whatever the case is, because Michael Phelps went through the same thing. So it's not a black
Right.
or a white thing. It's
Right.
that black folks just need to learn that rules are rules. We want to bend and break other folks' rules when we can go and make our own Olympics. We can have our own award shows, and we don't treat that as well. And that's just that's part of the program of the agenda for black folks, and we steady fall into it. So we can make our own Olympics where you can smoke or drink or whatever you want to do and not be uphold to them same
Uh,
standards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like we make the problem bigger than it is. We complain about
man.
album sales and Grammys and all these different things so we can support each other, especially black men, you know what I'm saying, supporting, just supporting each other, just honoring each other. Like it especially in this social media age, it don't cost nothing for you to follow or like or share, or you know what I'm saying? It don't cost you to just be decent to your fellow brother. Like it don't cost you nothing to do that, but we act like it's so hard. And I feel like, some people will say, well, the quality or whatever the case may be. But here's the thing though, that may be true,
Yeah.
but how else are we gonna be able to get things off the ground if we not supporting or we not helping each other, even in the beginning stages, in the stages that we trying to get it off the ground. We using what we have. We might not have all the money, we might not
Yeah.
have all of the other things that may be going on, but it's like, you know, it's
Well,
just
do you think even when you putting all your all into it and whatever that you expect to happen don't happen, do you think that that's just because the laws of nature, or it be because you're not doing something harder, or you're not going harder, you ain't spending enough money here, you ain't grinding enough harder, you ain't doing something, or is
I
it
think
just be the laws of nature sometimes? Like it just be what it is. Like it is what it is.
yeah, I mean, and then sometimes you gotta stay down till you come up. Cause I
Yeah.
was listening to Joel Osteen. I know he's not black, but I listen to him. But
Man, what that had to do?
no, we talking
I
about
actually
black
like
right
his
now.
style of preaching
But
though,
yeah,
man. Because
yeah, me too.
I told you that once before though. Because and
Yeah,
then when I say that, my people for sure was like, "What?" And then man, and they was like, "Man, what you like?" I was like, "I like
yeah,
that he." I'm like that he like giving motivation with the Bible stuff. Like you know what I'm saying?
yeah. A lot of
But
people
it is what
don't
it
like him.
is.
But
Yeah.
he was
I
speaking
just
on this
listened to it
morning.
though. I just listened to it. I ain't.
Yeah, he was speaking on basically just saying like
What do you say?
he was just saying like, are you gonna have faith and kind of let it go? I think what happens is we don't have faith that in our own work, and we don't have faith in God enough to where we'll do something and just put it at His feet and keep going. I think we too hard on ourselves. It's people that I know that what I'm saying, that are artists that like they complained for years. Like I'm talking about years upon years upon years upon years. They felt like they was getting snubbed. They felt like they wasn't getting no type of love. They wasn't getting no type of recognition.
Did they ever
And
make it?
now, well, one of them, shout out to my producer, one of my producers, man, Nasu Fuji. He did Girls Feelings. He did FTN. He did a couple other songs that are unreleased that I featured him on my blog. He worked with the homie Chris at SJE.
You for sure
Worked with
said that like we heard them songs before.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm
You
telling you,
saying
well,
that I'm thinking like I heard the song before, man.
you done heard the song before. I didn't send it to you. Done heard both of them.
Okay,
Them
but shout
the
out to that man. Shout out.
But shout out to Nasu Fuji because
Yeah,
he getting
fact.
featured in No More Heroes, and that comes out, I believe,
Yeah.
this Friday on the Nintendo Switch. So you know what I'm saying? Like he went for so long making anime, video game music, and he was getting kicked off of the streaming platforms and had to re-upload. He was getting kicked off of Instagram. Folks was hating on him, and now he really getting ready to see the fruits of his labor. You know what
But
I'm
he
saying?
didn't stop though, you know what I'm saying? Through all what you just said, he didn't
He
stop.
didn't stop.
I think
Hmm.
y'all both made some really good points. Um, I think one thing to remember back to what Wazone was saying is that really everything that Black people do is done within a framework of something that white people created. So it's like everything we do, eventually they're going to figure out a way to exploit it and to profit off of it more than we do.
Right.
So the way that I've always tried to look at things, especially as an artist, it's like, yeah, you can deal with the framework that we already have, and whatever you get out of it is good, but at the same time, we should always be looking for alternatives. As Black people, that support thing, it is important, and it's not just supporting for the sake of supporting. It's supporting
Right.
things that you really believe in, things that you like, that you want to see succeed, and putting
Yeah.
your energy, your money, your talents towards those things, no matter what the larger structure is doing. Because the thing is, if we look at history, if we look at every music that we've created, they always front on it first. They always look at
Mm-hmm.
it and be like, oh, well, this is trash, this is jungle music, or whatever the case may be, until
Mm-hmm.
they figure out a way to, one, exploit the black people that are doing it, and then two, find white people that can do it to replace the black people. And so when we work in those frameworks, we're always on somebody else's clock. Like they tell us, again, they never know, but once something turns hot, they start telling us when it's not cool no more. They told us when breakdancing supposedly wasn't cool no more. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it's like, I know b-boys and b-girls right now, because it's hip-hop is a culture. You know what I mean? But if you let them tell it, it's a business. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
it is a business in truth. But what I'm saying is, on the cultural level, we don't ever have to play by their rules. That's a choice. And once we get into business, we have to understand that, okay, these people are exploiting us, and they're going to exploit us as often as they can and as much as they can. And if we ever want to get out of that, we got to start looking at alternative ways of doing what we do, and not worrying about if we're going to get a Grammy, or if we're going to get on, any of these superficial kinds of things that they throw at you. It ain't nothing wrong with getting a Grammy.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with getting played on commercial radio. None of that. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But you got to realize what that is. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you also
Right.
got to say, well, as black people, we can support each other and keep our art alive, first of all, culturally, but we can also figure out a way to keep money circulating as well, no matter what anybody else is doing.
Yeah. I think, man. I think, like, as far as that goes, culturally, man, I feel like it's a divide, and it always been that, because you got people like uh uh Rowdy Rich. He was once concerned the way Kanye. I think Kanye pissed on the Grammy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he pissed on the Grammy, it made him feel like he putting in all this work to potentially get one, and you just devalued it to him. Like, he felt like he devalued a Grammy to him because he pissing on the Grammy. And it's like, so I'm working myself to get her, and then you go to piss on the Grammy. But like you said, you gotta know what that is, though, or you gotta want that type of. If you want to be on billboards and Grammys and awards and all this and all that, then you definitely gonna be on a whole different time frame than somebody like, per se, we on. Like, we not really. I ain't really tripping off all that, but what what group? I mean, like, what groups in hip hop, like, not really tripping off of it and still could end up getting gifted them type of things.
Well, I think the interesting thing about that, especially with hip hop, and those are great examples with Roddy Ricch and Kanye, because I remember, man, when there was no rap category for hip hop at
Right.
all. It didn't exist. And then when they gave it a category, they wouldn't broadcast it on TV with the other categories.
Right.
So two groups in particular, like I'll use Public Enemy as an example. Like Chuck D said, who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy? And that
Right.
was his stance. That was his stance, which for me as a young person back then, that was important, because that was that rebellion
Yeah.
against what was already there. Because at that time, everything was against hip hop. They were saying, well, hip hop ain't really music. Hip hop ain't gonna last. And instead of people bending over backwards to try to prove otherwise, they said, well, fuck y'all then. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna keep
But
doing
do
what
they have a
what we
Grammy?
do.
But do we have a Grammy though?
Public
Chuck-
Enemy got a Lifetime Achievement Grammy last year.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I just say that because that made me think when Jay-Z was on the same tip, like, he not going for the Grammys, but he still have Grammys.
Right. Exactly. Because
Yeah.
that's the
That's what I
thing.
mean by you still don't have to worry about it, and you still could get gifted these
Right.
things. You don't have to just be so hell bent on getting it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because
that's
if
the
your work
best
is
way.
good, you gonna get it anyway.
Exactly.
It's just like getting women. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at life at like I look at life like that though. Like I feel like
Yeah,
once you get out of that whole I gotta be perfect or I gotta be number one, like that's what's befalling on to DJ Khaled, Kanye. That's
yeah,
why Kanye was doing all that flaw stuff towards Drake. It spark. Pusha T the same way, mad because they not concerned. They not their lyricists or Kanye's the best producer, but Drake beats him out every time. Like they mad that they time is up.
Who
Everybody gonna
mad
have
though?
their time.
Who?
right.
Kanye, Pusha T. A lot of people mad. Meek Mill was mad at one point. Everybody was mad,
You think
but
Pusha T and Kanye time is up?
no, what I'm saying is they had their moment. And so
Yeah.
your moment only lasts as long as you consistent. Drake never took a break. Drake, he didn't lost family members, he didn't
Yeah.
lost friends, he didn't broke his leg multiple times. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of he got a lot of allegations thrown his way and all of that. But as far as we talking about the music, Drake gonna come with it each and every time. Then he gonna go to different genres on you. He
Yeah.
gonna do a pop song. He gonna do an R&B song. Then he gonna do a reggae song. Then he gonna do a dance song. Then he gonna go.
Yeah, but
He gonna go to the
that's
trap.
the music, man. Okay,
Yeah, that's
but
what we
you're
talking
right
about.
that
So we talking about the
Kanye and
run.
Pusha ain't that,
They
man.
mad,
We
bro.
talking.
Kanye is mad
I'm not gonna
because
get off
he
the
held that spot that Drake had, but
I'm about to get off the
he let the death of his mother. Um, you know, he let that it affected him, and it still affected him to the point where what I'm saying, like he
I have
naming
to
a
go
new
back to
album.
everybody not gonna be that cool zone. Everybody you think cool ain't gonna be that cool with you. And
Not
that's
even just
exactly
we just talking about the music. We just talking about even with that
and
being
no, but
said.
that's something a little deeper though. Like you give them a beat, then you come out with it, poopy scoop, and then like it's a little bit more
Yeah, I
behind
mean,
that.
yeah, but that's
It's a
why I
little bit more
said.
behind that. So man, it ain't just one thing that it happened. Like it's a couple things that it happened.
What's up,
So
Lawson? Shout out to Lawson tapping in, man. Shout out to
that's the
everybody that's
word.
watching. Y'all make sure y'all like and share the stream wherever you watching at YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Make sure y'all follow Lyfestile. His Instagram profile is in the chat, you know. But yeah, like it I'm just saying, like, it's just one of them things though, Hayes, that I feel that when you stop being that person and you start having envy towards that person, like it's almost like a girl, you talking to a girl, and then the dude that she really like walk by, and then her attention just she could be in mid conversation with you, and that's just how the game. That's how fast and how fickle fans is. They'll be fans of you today, but if you stop being on this same level, I mean, think of St. Louis. We're gonna get into that later, but think of St. Louis, right? That's why the allegations that came towards Nelly, think about it. Nelly's never had to deal with that problem in St. Louis. Not a wider hip hop game, but in St. Louis, it's Nelly. There's nobody in the city. Nelly got a chokehold on the game. Nobody is looking at Nelly like, okay, yeah, he fell off or whatever, but he still ain't nobody did it bigger than him. So that's what's happening with Kanye is Drake does what Kanye does with half the talent because Drake ain't producing the beats. You know what I'm saying? He got a team,
Yeah,
and
there you
now
go.
it
You
came out that
unlocking. You
he
unlocking.
exactly it
You
came out that
unlocking the
Kanye
topic.
wasn't it came out that Kanye wasn't writing his raps or making all them beats either. So it's like your greatness. That's why they sent Meek first. The Meek got rolled over. So now, okay, now I'm gonna get Pusha. That didn't that was a blow in his armor, but that was a chink in his armor, but that's still he still got 77 75% armor left. Like they can't stop him. They can't do nothing with him. So
It's
now
all
Kanye talking
entertainment
about
for me to watch. It's entertainment for hip hop.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, for
entertainment in the
sure.
world to where we know that it be real beefing going on these songs, bro. Like like it's some real drilling going on these songs back and forth, and that be I hate to say it, like you be tapped in, going back and forth, seeing what's what, cause you know why? Cause you got people like is Vlad gonna interview both sides, and then you got certain other folks that's gonna do the same thing, so you can put the music with the interviews, and you can kind of see what's going on. But do y'all think
Mm.
that they do that for entertainment purposes, or that shit is real for real for real?
It's
I
probably a
think it's
little bit
real.
of both. It's a little bit of
Right.
both, I
Because
think.
I
I
think
think
at
it's
some point it'd be a little both, but I don't know.
well, it goes back to exploitation. It's like the beef could be real, but even if it's a minor beef, it's going to always be amplified because it's a possibility of it making money for outside people outside of those parties that are really involved in it. So if
Yeah.
it turns into the interviews, you know what I'm saying, and
Right.
the blogs and everything else, because I mean the way that the media works now, especially hip hop media, I mean it's gone through a lot of changes, but right now it's a lot of like, you know, you just want to grab people's attention. You know, whether you know what you're talking about or not, you want to try to show the most controversial subject or topic that you can
Yeah.
just to get people's attention. And really, that's why these kind of podcasts are dope, because it comes from the community and it comes from the culture. Because
Yeah.
again, like I always say, if we don't do it, other people are going to do it, you know, and they're going to amplify it, and they're going to take whatever negative aspect of it they can,
Yeah.
and they're going to exploit it. And I think again that's going to happen with everything that we do. And I think a mistake, I was having this conversation earlier today, I'm gonna be brief, but I think, you know, we kind of made some mistakes in the years past when you know, beefs that were more serious than this Drake and Kanye thing, when we
Right.
tried to make it seem like, oh well, that's just a part of hip hop, or that's just a part of the culture,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole battle thing, when it's like, yeah, there's always been battling and competition in the culture, but as far as, you know, certain things that may be personal or a little more street oriented, and trying to bring that to the forefront to just to prove how real you are, I think we made some mistakes on that level, because now people think that, you know, you gotta portray yourself a certain way and back it up a certain way, whether that be your money, the material items you have, the level of violence you're willing to take it to, all of that stuff. It's like, man, you got to know how to be a multi faceted person and be like, well, some of this stuff ain't for the public. You know what I mean? Everything ain't for the
Right.
public. Some of this
Right.
stuff is, if I'm an artist, the art is for y'all. But if I got some real shit happening in the background, I'm gonna try my best to keep that where it is. You know what I mean? Because that's not for your entertainment. And once you start mixing those two worlds, shit gets
It definitely
dangerous,
got mixed. It
and it's
definitely
bad
has
for the
got mixed.
kids, because the kids think that, oh, well, that's how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? That's how I'm supposed to, you know, be like this real live person that's doing this foul stuff in front of the camera. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's a
Hmm.
mistake. You know, that was a mistake, man.
It was a big mistake. So
Hey, I agree with it, man, because it's that's all this did turned into. It's either beefing, or you twerking, or you doing something crazy online. Or and I don't have no problem with, let me just say this real quick before the ladies jump on me. I don't have a problem with, I just slowed down on it. Obviously I have a lady, and I'm just, if y'all been tuning in to the channel and to the podcast, I've been slowly changing my life, but I ain't got no problem with the women doing what they do. Now
right.
with the
Right.
fellas, I feel like we have a genuine duty, and we have a genuine responsibility to do certain stuff for, by, and in front of our children and our women. If we That's what we resorting to, and that's what we doing. You know what I'm saying? And really, it's a lot of emotional stuff going on, because a lot of us don't have fathers. So a lot of us are doing what we might have seen our moms or seen other brothers that behave in such a way do. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna again, I ain't trying to put it on the lady, because I had to say this. There's a lot of sisters that are coming up more so, what I'm saying, whether they have foolishness and they or not, they about their business. The fellas got to start coming in and being about their business, because black women are running the black community right now, and it shouldn't be like that. We the only race of people that our women run our community. You know what I'm saying? Like run it, like from the bottom to the top. Now you might have a few brothers that's successful that's leading a household, but outside of that, you know what I'm saying? And on leading their household is straight black. You know what I'm saying? Not even just leading their household, but leading their
Hey,
household with a
you said
black woman
what?
in the household.
You said that it's more women leading.
When you look at how many it's when you
So
look online and you see that black women in business is 400,000 like tweets and likes and stuff like that, right? And you look at black men
all
is
women, I think
20,000.
all women turn up though more than men though. That's just by nature.
No, I'm talking
All
about
women
black
gonna turn up.
women. We
Black
talking
women,
about black women in general.
especially.
You can look the stats up, hey, you can look them up and see, and you could just look around your neighborhood and see, like when that's to go back to what I said earlier about black men supporting black men. Black women, they start a business, or you selling plates, or you selling this or whatever, it's they gonna get it popping quicker because one, we like to look at beautiful women. You know what I'm saying? Or women, period. If a woman is on there,
Well, I
the
just said.
better,
I think black women is going.
yeah,
Of course, that's gonna sell more like that faster. But
Well,
I don't know.
I think something to consider is that, as a group, we're all we're all oppressed. You know what I mean? And I think that when we had these conversations, in truth, yeah, sisters may be in a certain position as far as education and as far as employment, but one, as a group,
Period.
we have
She
to
said period.
we have to consider the fact that regardless of how we choose to live, as individuals, that as a group, there's room for a little bit of diversity as far as the kind of household that we come up in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm in the traditional family structure, but I came up with a single parent. You know what I mean? So it's like, obviously,
that didn't define
I'm,
you.
I'm happy with the way that, things are going in my house, but at the same time, I know that a lot of issues that we face um, are because of a larger structural thing as far as why brothers often end up, with higher rates of incarceration, higher
Yeah,
rates of being hurt and killed, things like that. Those are things that are bigger than any division between men and women. I think if we look at the bigger picture, a lot of these smaller things will start to work themselves out. But I think because we don't, a lot of times it's easy because of the situation we're in. We point the finger at each other, whereas whether it's brothers and brothers or whether it's men and women, we kind of end up pointing the finger at each other when really there are larger situations that are really causing problems for all of us, but it's harder to fight those things because sometimes we don't even see them. Sometimes we don't even realize what's happening, but we do see that person that's right in front of us, and we say, "Oh well, we all messed up because of you," and they point the same finger back at us, saying, "Nah, it's because of you." When really, we're all just humans reacting to a situation that we're in. I think Black people, considering the things that have happened to us,
yeah.
it's amazing that we're still here and we're doing as well as we are. It's
Mm.
really amazing. We take that for granted, but if you really look at the history of what has happened to us and what continues to happen to us and the way that we're still being exploited, it's like it's incredible that we still are as creative and as strong as we are, because we really are, and we really are incredible people. But
Yep.
because of the things that we are living under, sometimes we end up putting a lot more stress on it. And don't get me wrong, we all have responsibility as men, as women. We
Mhm.
have responsibilities. We have to be accountable for what we do. But I also think we also have to kind of give each other a little bit of grace and kind of understand, well, some of this shit ain't because there's something wrong with us. It's because of the situation. You know what I mean? If you come up
Yeah,
poor in the ghetto, you don't have no control over that. That's not your fault. You know what I'm saying? But you got to look at the larger situations that create that environment. And we got to start taking aim at some of that kind of stuff, which is hard.
at
It's
all.
very hard, you know?
They don't want us to
mm,
be great. Like she said, they don't want us to be great.
No, we're here to be
We
exploited.
surviving.
We're here to be exploited and used and abused because the system, again, as Americans, if you look at especially entertainment, if we look at everything in entertainment, it was basically founded on the exploitation of black people. Period.
It's the key
From the
word for the
first
night.
record that was pressed, that's what it's based on.
Exploitation. 'Cause that's what you've been dropping, man, since you got on tonight. I see that's the key word for the night.
That's the key word.
Exploitation.
That's the key
So
word.
real discussions um tend to unlock topics about real things. But the question is, what's the question? Yeah, what's the question?
What's the question, Zone?
I'm asking you.
You ain't asking me because man, you talked about this earlier, and I asked you the same stuff. So
No, I don't know what the
I
question is, but
mean,
I do know. I know that
that was a
when
topic that you
brothers
kind
get
of
to
had on
talk,
your mind. That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the question? Like, what
oh,
is the
well, I
say
mean,
it, say
depending
it one
on
more
what.
time for me to hear it.
No, what it is when me and Hayes talk and we get on here and talk on this podcast. Shout out to Hazy P. He came on last week.
Yeah,
And I'm pretty
KCP,
sure
what up?
we gonna do it with Lifestyle here on the podcast today.
we
When we
just
talk
did
shit,
it actually.
we just did it, so it opens up a larger conversation
Right.
that that needs to be had. We started off talking about the challenges and then the rap beef and stuff like that, and then it led us to talking about why these things transpire. So
So
that's
it's not
pretty.
really a question; it's a thing. Like it's a feeling. Like
Yes.
it's so
or
it's not
or,
really a
or
question.
it's an
It's something.
issue. It's like we revealing an issue, and with us it revealing a topic. In our everyday conversation, me and
Yeah.
Hayes, we
It
unlock so
grows
many different.
basically. It grows almost like a tree with all the
Yeah.
branches going different. Like a conversation that grows basically. Like that's what it means. Like
Hmm.
your conversation should always grow into different branches, man, and go, take your mind different avenues, like basically.
Well, let me
Not just
ask.
Right.
being one minded. Simple
Let
mind.
me let me ask Lifestyle this question. So, what was the
One thing.
conversation that led for you to and the other brothers that were involved to start Slumfest? 10, 15 years ago.
Oh man, that was a Facebook post, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Rabu had posed a question. What if we did a show that featured the best artists of our particular generation as well as the new artists? What if we did one show like that? And he
Right.
tagged me, John Harrington,
That was
so and
recently.
so. No, this was like 10 years ago.
Oh wow.
And
Oh, that's how you saying dang.
yeah, and he basically tagged everybody that became a board member in that particular post. And then we all started kind of going back and forth on that post. And then that post turned into a meeting. And then that meeting, brought out a bunch of people from the hip hop community. And then we kind of whittled it down to what ended up being the board at that time. And I think it was John Harrington's idea to not make it one show, but to make it a continuous festival. And we've been working off that conversation, man, for 10 years. That one that one Facebook post, we've been working off of that for 10 years.
But let me ask you
Okay.
this too though, because you was actually around for the Hot Point Cafe, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, you okay? So man, you actually got to be down there because I was talking to Smitty, man, and shout out to DJ Smitty. He was telling me how like in the MCs used to line up on the side of the stage and they used to
Yep.
come up there and spit. And he was telling me he used to be like MCs on the side of the stage, or somebody was telling me that it used to be like a little chant first, and then MCs would go up there and then start spitting and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
always I heard about the High Point, but I ain't never get a chance to make it down there. But I know kind of like that group was the same group that came over later on to the South Side and the Blank Space and all that. Like that's where that little vibe came from, right?
A lot of the same people. Yeah, around that
Yeah.
time, the High Point Cafe and it was a weekly event called The Science at Blueberry Hill. And
What year was that exactly though? Like the High Point Cafe, like that.
that was like that was like I'm trying to think of when the first year was. I mean, that went on from like it was like the mid to late 90s. I'm trying to think when the last show was. It might have been 99, 2000, something like that.
Okay.
Um, I mean, Rob or Fenster would have to answer that, but it was like 90s, 2000s, early 2000s. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, those two spots. I mean, the High Point was definitely the spot where if you were an MC, you would look forward to that end of the night where you could get a chance to get on the mic for 16 bars. And it was battles, and it was it was a great environment, and the way that it was organized was really perfect for what it was. And it was just a good place to sharpen your skills. Like all the best DJs were there. And
Man.
between that place and Blueberry Hill, I mean, those two spots to me, I mean, they got it, down pat because they were both different. They were very different from each other, but
Yeah.
there were just high quality MCs, DJs, b-boys, b-girls at
Yeah.
both places. And it was different crowds, but it was good for the city because no matter what your style was, you had some place to go and you had somewhere to showcase your skills. That man, the High Point was awesome, man.
Never got to get it. Never got to make it, but I got the experience when blank space was what it was. But the High Point though, like that was something that I always heard about.
Yeah, the High Point, it's in the DNA of everything that came after it. Like it's never been quite duplicated, but there's a little bit of the High Point in everything that
Yeah.
Slumfest tries to do, that Rob and Finston them try to do. It's like there's a little bit of that in everything that's been done since
That's
then.
actually the makeup of it then. Like that's the
It's a part of it, yeah, for sure. For
man,
sure.
got to be down for that, man. And I was telling Zone about it, man. Like, well, that was something that's crazy that I remember even hearing about that back then, like that. And I ain't know none of y'all back then.
It was a big deal, man. And
It
I think
was.
that's another reason why Slumfest came about, because with the High Point and the Science, it was easier to kind of have a sense of community that no matter where you were from in the city or who you hung around with, on Monday night, you would either be at the High Point or Friday night, you would be at Blueberry Hill. And
Ooh,
all of us would just meet up and just, I mean,
top tier shit.
legends, you know what I'm saying?
Right, what I'm saying, dog. Like,
Yeah,
but let
it
me
was
ask
great.
you this too, like at that time frame, just like similar to now, was it folks around that felt like they couldn't come around because of a certain reason, or they felt like certain people weren't fucking with them, like excuse me, but like wasn't messing with them, like to come around? Like
You
how
know,
certain people feel like, oh, I ain't coming around, or they don't want me around because I spit this type of music, or
well, I would say between those two spots, it it would be people like that, and sometimes that will be that might be in your own head sometimes, where you might feel like
right,
that, but nobody else is really tripping off of that. Like I can think of a couple people off the top of my head that didn't really feel like they fit in, who were
right.
great, you know what I mean, and would have been just fine. But for whatever reason, maybe somebody rubbed them the wrong way, and they
Because
they they
like
felt
how
like that.
now, like when the slum was going on, how certain people felt like that they didn't like couldn't come around, or people didn't want them around, or why they not reaching out to this certain crowd, or
Well, I think I'll say this with the High Point in particular. Um, they
what it
had
was.
certain parameters, like you couldn't just do anything, but at the same time, I think people's taste was such that there was a variety of people who could perform. You had the so-called gangster rappers, you know what I mean, and then you had the so-called people who was more on the, you know, more freestyle or more,
Because
just
I
hip
say,
hop
because
that
the
was,
cat with the hole in his shoes, man, he gonna come through and spit 100 bars on you, and it's gonna be the coldest shit ever. But
yeah.
the cat who trying to floss and be all nice looking with the drip on, with the drip, he ain't gonna be able to get busy like that all the time because maybe his skill not as crafty as the person who bummed up, but he got every and not really bummed up. We gonna say, what they gonna call the backpacked up. Like he
right.
about that life. He not really so much rapping about the drugs, the guns, and the foolishness, but it's in there. But it
But
ain't as
that's
much as,
perfect. Yeah,
but
that's
it's
the
in
perfect
there.
way to put it. Yeah, because I would have been like,
Oh, we lost lifestyle.
That mug said, cause that mug went out of
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Um, we're gonna
Well,
go
yeah,
to
man,
a
he ain't gonna
commercial
come
break
back.
real quick. We're gonna go
Yeah,
to a
but that first
commercial break.
topic though, babe.
With all confidence. Look, always a fake nigga calling other niggas fake. Look me in my face, not a smile, I ain't playing. Niggas won't trip, haters like that. Look what they did to Nip and Triple X. Others quit, stayed on our shit, the time is now. Notice on the door, landlord trying to kick me out. Back against the wall, I still keep a smile. Do it.
And they think that's supposed to make them be better than you.
Yeah. CMW Hayes. Got my people with me. Yeah. For the fam 87 ETV. Talk business with me, know I've been the G. Know I say it from my chest, I rep the Midwest. Niggas be acting like they tough, we not into that. I'm from the liquor store, serving with the pack.
yo,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we back.
yeah. We back with it. Your
government tried to
lifestyle,
shut us down.
oh man, we was getting in there. Your lifestyle. Do you got any new singles? Anything, man? You want to plug right now? Any new ventures you got going on that you want to plug?
Yeah, last November, it's been a while. Me and my brother Kenada Smith, we put out an album called Where I'm At. It's on all streaming platforms. Um, I'm really proud of it. I dig it.
Yeah.
It's pretty topical. I just put out a single called Peace that's available. It's really only available on Bandcamp right now, but it'll be on the other streaming
Ooh,
platforms soon. And if you follow me, you'll get all that information. I'm also working with an organization called Black Men Build with
yeah.
Tef Poe, Corey
Mhm.
Black,
Look,
a few
hold
other
up.
brothers,
Oh
and
yeah.
we put out a free magazine called Wartime, and it's basically something that kind of point to people in the direction of the revolution, And I would say check out
Now
blackmen.build.
I got
Right.
this
That's what's up.
version. I
Yes,
got
sir.
this
Check us out.
version,
That's
but I don't
dope.
got the
That's
new one
very
because I
dope.
know y'all got a new one out, right?
We got a new one. We'll get them to you.
Yeah.
We'll get them to you. But check out Black Men
Yeah.
Build on all social media platforms. Stay tuned with that. And that's just another community-based thing where, we got boots on the ground, physically cleaning up the community, and also doing the intellectual work of trying to wake people up, man, and trying to break out of some of these cycles. So, that's what I've been uh, fortunate to be involved with. Like I said, Tef put me down with that, and
Yeah.
just trying to do that work, man.
Man, that's a wonderful thing, bro. I just want to put that in real quick 'cause that's a wonderful thing. But I think we left off when they rudely interrupted us.
This is CIA, man. They don't like these conversations.
Yeah.
CIA. No, but I
But
think that we was basically I was trying to just see, was it that that landscape in them times, was it always the dividing part, like you had this group and that group, but they never like comingle
not
with each other, or did they, pretty much they stayed over there, we stayed over here, and when it tried to mix in with each other, what was the outcome? Because how the slum was at one point, like how people like kind of tried to mix the two together, but
mhm.
it was a whole bunch of chatter about that, and how people sometimes felt like people weren't messing with them for like a certain
Well,
reason. I don't know why.
it's very interesting that you bring that up. I'll say this: in the days of the High Point, I probably would have represented the so-called backpacker music or whatever. You know what I mean? But I'm in there with cats that represent, the so-called gangster rap or whatever other kind of rap you do. You know what I mean?
Right,
And
right.
we were all there together, so we had a common ground, and that common ground was when it's time to get on that mic. If you do your
Yeah.
thing, it don't really matter what your point
All
of
that
view
matters.
is. If you're nice, you're nice. You know, and then same thing for Blueberry Hill as far as the science. It was the same thing, even though I would say the High Point kind of leaned a little bit harder towards the street, and Blueberry Hill kind of leaned a little bit harder towards the so-called backpacker stuff. But it was all hip hop, and you would find all factions in both places.
Yeah.
And I think the division happened more outside of those scenes than within that scene. I think the
Right.
people who were making stuff who really didn't know about those spots, or they didn't really care about them other than getting on to perform maybe one night, but they weren't regulars. I think they may have had a different perception of what was really going on than what was actually happening. Because I think for what it was, the High Point was a good place for you to rhyme, no matter what your style was. It was, if you were
Yeah.
good, you were good, period. And I think with
That's
Slumfest,
how I feel, period, though.
yeah, me too. But I think with Slumfest, we wanted to achieve that as well. Like our goal was to have really the best artists we could find in St. Louis. And I think for people who felt, and even outside of St. Louis, but people who felt excluded, it was never something where we were trying to front on anybody. You know, we were just trying to have we are just trying to have the highest quality possible. Now, it's sometimes people might slip through the cracks, so people don't catch our attention. You know what I mean? But it's not like we're trying to exclude anybody. You know what I
Well,
mean?
let me ask you this question, because I seen was like there was, I don't know, because I witnessed it on both sides.
Uh-huh.
Like, why wasn't like the media allowed to really rock? Because I see a lot of outside bloggers, and then I see also a lot of people who are like, hangers on, and we're gonna get to that topic in a minute.
Uh-huh.
Why wasn't the media presence really felt there, like chronicling all of these things? Because it's a couple people, like I said, but I noticed a lot of the media people when I was coming in. I came in around the same time Hayes came in the blank space era,
Mm.
2720 era. I came around that time, and so when I noticed, I just noticed it wasn't really that much of a media
Was it a
presence
heavy
anymore.
I mean, like, was it a media presence lifestyle back when you was? I mean, like then in the
There
Blueberry
was
Hill, like was it people like really capturing the moments and?
there was some media, but it it was inconsistent. I'll say this, like it
Right.
depends, it also depends on what you mean, because I know like when we talk about the science, my brother who put that together, DX, he had his own internal, he made like a little a documentary about that whole thing, you know what I mean?
Really?
But as far as outside media
But
though, it would depend.
look,
It was like
I want to see that. Like,
it was a limited type of VHS thing back in the day, man.
like, look,
But
I
I,
want.
we'll see it. I'll
Right.
get it to you.
Yeah.
But as far as outside media, it was different. You know what I mean? Because by the time Slumfest came around, there was more grassroots media. But back then, it was like, okay, sometimes RFT might mess with you. Sometimes St. Louis American, whatever, like the local
Yeah.
paper or the local music paper. You know,
It wasn't
sometimes it'll
cell
be
phones and cameras and
right.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Unless
Yeah.
you have people who brought their video cameras sometimes, but it wasn't like it was by the time Slumfest came around. So
Right.
media was really inconsistent during those times. Like there's a couple big articles that came out on the High Point in the RFT, on the science in the RFT, and other and about individual artists and groups. But our music media was not strong. It's never really been strong in the city. You know what I mean? It's never really been strong. As far as
Now,
I feel like more so back in them days, if it wasn't
yeah,
a video, it was show getting wrote up in the paper or something.
yeah,
Like I mean,
it
like it was
was.
getting in like they was probably
right.
writing them probably more so.
Yeah, but that was still inconsistent. You know, that would just really depend on if you had the attention of people working at those particular establishments at that time, in the
Yeah.
relationships we had with certain people at that time. And I would say with the advent of Slumfest, The difference is, as far as we want to talk about local media, it's communication. It's getting in touch with the right people about getting on the inside and chronicling things, because we had a couple people on our team that were working on that. But as far as people outside of that, that's more or less a formality of getting in touch with the right people at the right time. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm open to that. You know what I mean? But sometimes you might have an artist that's trying to do their own thing, and it's like, and they want to bring a whole team of people through, and just for logistics and money issues, we couldn't always do it like that. But as
Right.
far as like straight up media, we've never been opposed to that. That's just more or less a conversation that needs to be had. Maybe we didn't always have those conversations.
Okay, and then my next thing was you had people not necessarily outside of the street realm, but you had people that were inside of Slumfest where they felt like it was some favoritism going on, or it was all, I would always see the back and forths and the beefs that would go on. You
I
know
ain't
what I'm
never felt
saying?
like that.
Oh, well, we not talking about you, Hayes. We talking about
Duh. But I'm
different.
just
We,
saying. I figure
well,
for
I'm
the
just
past you
saying.
never had to feel like that. Because like
Well,
we said, there was always ways to come around and get in. If you was an
well, no,
MC, you would
that's
definitely have to show up on a Sunday on a cypher, spit, mugs watching you. From there, man, you don't know what opportunities might pop up for you.
I'll
But
say
like we
this.
we talking
This
about for the necessarily the awards and the certain people that would win or whatever, and they felt like this person
Yeah,
right
that type
here,
of stuff you couldn't
you
just
know.
insert yourself in just one day and just say, yeah, I'm coming around and
No,
now
I'm
it's
talking
all
about the
good.
people. I'm talking about the people who were consistently there. And that's what my thing is, that is it like a seniority thing? Okay, we're gonna give it to this person because this person has been the most consistent, but this person over here might have, because see me, I'm gonna just be real with it. I kind of, as the year, as a, I would say, I guess I felt certain people when I came around kind of felt like I was kind of trying to siphon or trying to on the media side, but that was never
mm,
my intention. My intention always was to chronicle each and every individual artist, to chronicle the inside, the outside of Slumfest, as well as the other, the Traffic Music Awards, recipes to Tony J. A
no
lot of
doubt.
people had a lot of misconceptions when it came to myself and other media outlets. I'm only gonna mention myself. I'm not gonna throw nobody else in there, but I felt like too, and then you had artists too that, you know, I would see be consistent. I would listen to all the projects that was on the bill, and more than just myself. Other people's like, yeah, man, this person hard, but the committee decided, well, we're gonna give it to this person because this person is on fire right now, and because that person is on fire, don't necessarily that mean that they got the better project. So my question to you, Lifestyle, is how was y'all, how are y'all deciding, okay, this year this person is gonna get the album of the year or the single of the year or the collaboration or the producer or whatever of the year?
Well, I'll say this. This is my favorite interview involving Slumfest of all time. um, and if we want to talk about the award show, I'm happy to do that.
No, this ain't
Um,
really about none of that for real.
well, as far as the politics of the award show, I'll say that. Um, it's hard when you have a community or a scene. It's hard for things not to get political. But I will say that we've always tried our best not to make it a political thing. In a nutshell, when it comes to any category, we all talk to each other about what categories we're going to have, and there's a vote for each category.
yeah,
So I think the thing about award shows is that all award shows are inherently flawed. They all are. So when we start talking about who's the best at this or that, you're talking about people's opinions. You know what I mean? So when we got a board of 10 people and X amount of people voting, X amount of people, breaking the tie or whatever, it's going to come down to people's personal opinions about music. And me, myself, as somebody that's been down the entire time, and I've said this to the people on the board, that you can never get an award show 100% right, or you can never satisfy people across the board with an award show, because we all feel differently about the music. If I'm being honest, every artist, I respect every artist that has ever gotten an award and has ever played our shows. But does that mean that I feel like, the artist of the year is my particular favorite artist of the year? No. You know what I mean? But that's just how that shakes out with our numbers. That's just how the vote shakes out. You know what I mean? And personally, and I'll say this about awards in general, it's like we were saying earlier about the structure. Anybody who wins a Slumfest award, we mean it when we give it to you. You should take it for what it's worth. But that award in and of itself, regardless of what any artist says, I don't feel like that should define you as an artist, because we all get accolades. We all miss out on accolades for a lot of different reasons, but the thing about an award show is that there's always going to be some level of dissatisfaction, because you're dealing with 10 human beings who we're all different from each other. You know what I mean? So we're not all going to feel the same way, and we don't all participate at the same level. Because for me personally, I don't vote on any awards ever, just because I don't put that kind of judgment on other people's music, other than I like it or I don't like it. But I don't say I want so and so to be artist of the year or whatever. There are other people that do that, and the way that shakes out is up to them. Now, I might help to break a tie, or I might help to bring somebody to somebody's attention, but besides that, I'm not invested in that way. But to answer your question, is that award shows, all of them are inherently flawed. And if we made you or anybody else extremely happy one year, I guarantee you there will be somebody else on the other side of that coin that will be extremely upset.
I think it's necessary.
And we have to accept the fact that no matter what we do, there's going to be a level of dissatisfaction, and we're okay with that. You know what I mean? And I salute anybody that's nominated. Hey, I salute you, and we're supportive of you, and we want the best. But there can only be one person that wins, unfortunately. And that's the nature of awards in general. Now, the weight that you put on that award, that's on you as an individual. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it should. I don't think that any award, whether it's a Slumfest award or a Grammy, I don't think that award should define an artist. You know what I mean? That's more so. Right. That's more or less something that we do for the scene, to keep people interested and invested in the scene. But if you feel like the best artist didn't win, you might be right. Because that's how you feel about their music. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, we all feel differently. So that's just how that shakes out.
I feel like it's needed. I feel like Slumfest is still needed till today, because I feel like
we'll be back once we get through this pandemic.
Right. It was opportunity, because that's what I used it for. Opportunity to be seen, to network with other people. And I ain't never had no bad experience with it.
I think you kind of brought that sense of community back. I mean, that's what I like the most about it. I got to meet a lot of people.
What was going on, man, nothing before that? Wasn't nothing going on before that like that.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to pay to get an award. You know what I mean?
Right. All you do is show up and show out. That's all you got to do, is show up and show out.
Yeah. As flawed as it might be, it's not meant to exploit anybody. We're not taking money for awards. We're not doing none of that. We're just trying to do our best, which again is not always going to make anybody happy, but it's never meant to be malicious or anything like that.
I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to, people have been hitting us up about this episode, because you was gonna be on it, Lifestyle, and I've been digging your music. Hayes put me onto it. I remember listening to the track that you had on his project. And see, for me, I just like to have stuff documented so that years from now, when people ask about Slumfest, when it's back in full swing and everything else like that, I
Right.
don't really, you know what I'm saying? And at first, I kind of felt some type of way initially, but just like you said,
But you're
like
not an
lifestyle.
artist, though. You're not an artist.
No. I'm talking about as far as the media side, because I felt like the more,
Oh,
and it's and that's what we're gonna get to in the next topic. Why do we feel
but like,
like
well, you're
the?
not an artist to feel.
No, I'm talking
Media could
about.
have always
I'm
come
talking.
in and bring their cameras and stuff. I
No, but
never,
it's
me,
a
me
different. But
personally,
it
I ain't never seen nobody get turned down for walking in with no camera.
No, but it's a difference between the artist, the
Now,
award
maybe if
show.
you saying you personally,
Let me
you
let me
felt
fin let me
personally,
finish. Hey, let me finish. What I'm saying is I notice a disconnect, but not just with Slumfest, but with artists in the city in general, which is gonna
Mm-hmm.
play into this next topic that we have on the docket.
yes, sir.
Ooh, y'all like that? Y'all like that rhyme? But anyway, which is gonna play in the next topic that we have on the docket is there. I don't see a cohesive or consecrated effort for the people that are on the ground. And like I said, it's not just myself. A lot of the independent media people have left the city for greener pastures. But if I felt like if Slumfest, um, Traffic Music Awards, I can't really. I mean, they kind of brought everybody in, and I seen Tony J, rest in peace. He did uplift everybody that was, if you was a cameraman, if you was a media outlet, if you was, even if you worked for the other station, you know what I'm saying, at the time
Mm-hmm.
before 95 had closed down, like he was bringing everybody in for the community. Like he
Mm-hmm.
did his own thing in the
Who?
way that he
Who you
exalt
talking about?
Tony J.
Tony J? Yeah, but
Yeah,
that was a
Tony.
different time frame too. Like, man, when
But hold
cell
on,
phones
but
went
it's the
down, I mean,
same.
like,
But it's the same thing though, Hayes, because this is
I,
a
I
this is
actually
a
feel like the same amount of media was around. There was people around,
no, but
dog.
it's
Like,
not. But it's not now though. It's like
okay, well, you
if
can't
I'm
put that
cool.
on actually that. You have to say
No,
that
I'm talking about.
that's
I'm getting. Let me get
the
to it,
whole
Hayes.
thing.
I'm finna break it
Go
down to you.
ahead, dude. All
Is
right, go ahead.
that if there's a because I feel like there is because I see certain artists, and I'm not gonna say nobody's name just out of respect. They would complain about not being on the radio.
Oh, nigga, say the name,
Mm-hmm.
nigga.
But no,
I'm
they would
playing.
complain about not being on the radio, but then turn around and then turn the not like I said, not this is not just a me thing. I'm looking at the
Mm-hmm.
whole problem because I never the content that I made money off of because I got that a lot. You trying to come up off of the scene, you trying to leech up off of the scene, and I've seen it happen with
How
other.
long ago did this happen?
I mean, this was just in the last few years, and it's been the even after I removed myself and everybody else removed themselves, and now the newer guys that I see are coming in on the more street
I
artists.
just
That
contribute that to the times sometimes.
no,
Like
not even the
maybe
time
in
because
that time frame, people wasn't ready for whatever you was on, whether you was helping push a company, or whether you was trying to do some type of interview with people. Maybe at that time, people wasn't understanding that they needed that to help them. Like, yeah, it's cool. Cause think about how you gave us an interview. Like, so we sitting here, I can say we did it. Like, you hit us up and you ain't even know us, and you gave us an interview. What? And that was almost 8 years ago.
yeah, but hey, you can't say they
So
can't
you,
understand
so
it. But
so
when you
so if
had
you tried to
when
do
you
that
have,
same thing with other people, and you didn't get the same response that you got from us,
but I'm
that
not
don't
even
mean that
mad
they
about
hating on you or they
it's
don't
not.
like.
But that's not the point because I don't. I'm going because this is the thing. I haven't missed because these are the biggest misconception lifestyle because I want you to take this
Mm-hmm.
back to the other members and all of that because it's something that came at me and I'm like I go to
Boy,
work
I'm
every
not
day
worried
just
about
like you do.
those.
No, let me finish saying it, hey, because this needs to be
I'm
documented
not
because we
worried
get
about.
ready to get into the greater topic at hand. So I'm trying to break it down and set the table for
Okay.
lifestyle. So when we go into the next topic of talking about the scene at large, I wanted to, and that's why I told you beforehand. This is not me saying, well, this is not Killzone airs his grievances to lifestyle and then Hayes jump in and this is
We
not
gonna
that.
get to this
Because
topic.
I'm just saying, but I gotta put that out there because I don't want you to feel or nobody else because I know everybody watching. Or if they not watching right now, they're gonna watch it later on because they see
Bro, I just
they
told you
may.
ain't nobody worried about you.
Oh,
Just
okay. Well,
go ahead and say
no,
what you're saying.
no, because
This
they
is You
are
Ain't Lying
because
for no. First of all, stop. This is You Ain't Lying podcast where we giving you that barbershop talk. So it's
yeah,
all
no,
good, bro.
they are. I'm
We
just
ain't
saying,
nobody taking nothing. We sitting here talking.
but I'm saying. We just talked about lifestyle. Said it earlier. How stuff on the internet gets misconstrued, and then we going back and forth. And this, I just gotta say that to be
For me, I feel
PC.
like as a whole, I like to go back like how we went to the High Point. Then he took
Yeah,
us
we got
to
the
Blueberry
history, and
Hill.
yeah,
Then we
I wasn't
bringing it
even
up more
outside back
farther
then.
along because in the city, it's not really much going. Like it still shows now that it's getting thrown around by certain people who've been consistent for years. And Jay
Yes,
House is one of them. Jay House been consistent for years. So is it
yes,
it was only him and Slumfest them and Rabu them and certain people so certain people was throwing shows
yep,
consistently,
yep,
keeping the scene going.
yep.
So for me as an MC coming around, like some of the stuff that you talking about media based stuff, but like you
No,
saying,
I'm
of
talking
course
about as a whole because that disconnect happened with even the
but as
street
an MC
artists. So
coming around, I ain't never had no problem coming around.
but we
But
not
this ain't
talking
about
about
me.
just you. But that's
Mhm.
what I'm just
Yeah, I know,
saying. Hey,
man. Go ahead and say what you're saying, man. All right, now I'm
see,
done. Go ahead.
you saying that is prefacing it like you letting him
Nope, I'm just
I'm just like I'm letting Lifestyle know that I don't have any animosity at the time. Being a little bit young because I'm 30 now. I was like 25, 26 coming around. So this is 4 or 5 years ago. But the
Mhm.
problem still exists because when we get to the talking about the scene at large, what
Mhm.
happened to the scene and how can we make it be big again? These are one of the things that I see. Like people kept screaming Atlanta, 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 Atlanta. We need to come together like Atlanta. They just now are having media. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like you had Parlay from the Franchise Boys, they made White T. He came on and did my interview, different interviews all the way around the country. You know why? Because he started his own media platform.
Right.
You got the 85 South show down there. You got big and small, Beehive. And that's because everybody in the city collectively said we're hitting all of these different what's the other one? Report card, the progress report. They got all of these different places. It didn't matter how big or small. But what I'm seeing now in the city is even with the artists, like I see in Atlanta,
come
like
on,
a
man.
little
Get
baby
to it.
could get but I'm saying a little baby could get with a future, and when he first came walking in, he
Get
could
to the
get with a
butt. Get
future.
to the butt of it. Come on now.
Yeah, and we can't do it here. And on the artist side, the media side, the DJ, the producer breakdown, there is no growth or incubator for the top for the talent for the media. So it's not circulating to people. It's only when we get other people from out of town that come and they grab up the Tefpos, the 30D Grammys, the AMRs, the TWOs.
Mhm.
We don't have that here in the city Lifestyle, and I'm saying from the artists, from the producers to the media, all the way down. That's my problem and issue. And how do we solve that? Because I was getting met with, and I seen other producers get met with on their way up. And then when certain people pop off, now it goes from cussing that person out on the internet to this was my brother the whole time, or this was my sister the whole time, or I've been rocking with them since woo woo woo.
Right.
It's never consistent and it's never sincere. So that's where I'm asking you, how can we break these egos and things down?
Will the St.
Okay.
Louis music scene ever be dominant again? And why we think and what we think happened, basically.
That I just explained to you what happened.
Okay.
But
Well.
Lifestyle
Egos.
was going to answer his question, so let him
But
answer.
go ahead.
Okay. As far as I'm gonna speak from the perspective of somebody involved with Slumfest, I think one, if when we talk about the talent, like you mentioned, Tef Poe and TWO. Now Tef is somebody that I've known for a very long time, and I know that Tef is definitely his formative years. He was a little young, but he came out just in time to catch a glimpse of the Science of Blueberry Hill and the High Point Cafe. Him
That's
and
in his
Nato
DNA.
Khalif and a lot of people that were in their crew at the
Shout out
time.
Nato.
Yeah, so that community that existed then and that eventually became Slumfest was and is an incubator for the talent. And I would say if we look at Slumfest, the events that we do, whether it be the award show, the pre-show, or the actual festival, it's more diverse than any other hip-hop platform as far as different kinds of hip-hop. It's more diverse than anything I've seen, and I've been going to shows in St. Louis and around the country since the 80s. You know what I mean? And a lot of places, it's either the so-called street stuff, or it's the so-called backpacker stuff, or it's something else, or it's spoken word poetry or something. You know what I mean? But with Slumfest, I would say more than any other entity, we encompass as much as we can. Now, does that mean that we get everybody? Probably not. You know, because again,
When was the last show? Like it was before the pandemic? Like it was in
yeah,
2018?
yeah.
Right. Because I know y'all
So,
didn't. No, with
but
2019?
was
Right.
2019, yeah.
Right. Yeah,
So,
19.
but if you look at who actually performs, and I do the schedule for Slump, so I know who performs. If you look at the actual roster of acts, I mean, that's every kind of MC that exists. Is it every MC in the city? No, but that would be impossible. But it's 70 acts at
Yeah.
least, sometimes
Yeah.
more than that. So when you put 70 groups on and it's from every faction possible, then I mean, it's not perfect, but at the same time, I've never
It's
seen that.
needed and it's necessary,
I
man.
didn't see that before us, and I don't see anybody else even trying to do that, because most people try to cater to one particular scene, and we never did that. We tried to be as universal as possible. That's our
And that's why
that's the
and that's
spirit of
why
what we
I asked.
do, is to be universal. As far as the media, again, that's more of a communication breakdown, because when it comes to the events that we do, if it looks like it's going to be something that's going to be beneficial to all parties involved and something positive, we can talk about it. And again, if whether or not we've always been successful in doing that, maybe not, you know what I mean? But it's never personal. When we move and we have this conversation internally all the time, we try to do what's best regardless of how we feel about anything. We try to go according to what we know, as opposed to how we feel or what we believe. We try to act on things that we know. We try to be effective, and we try to be inclusive. As far as media, there's not a whole lot of opportunities with us, and because we only do so many events. So
Right.
when we do talk to people, we try to make the best decisions we can, you know. And if that doesn't include anybody, again, it's not a personal thing. And it may even be a mistake sometimes, but it's never a thing of us trying to do anything that's contrary to the progression of the city as a whole. And I think there are artists outside of what we do who don't come to our events, or we don't hear about them until it's time to do the actual festival, that are upset sometimes. And again, that's one of those things where if you're not on our radar, that just may very well be the case. And we might be sleeping, or we might not. You might be trash. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. But whoever I know that's dope, I'm going to try to provide a pathway for them. And I've always done that. And I think everybody on the team tries to do that. Or even if I don't even have to like your particular style of music, but if I can see that you're good at what you're doing and that you actually know how to perform, then I'm going to try my best to do whatever I can. And we're all like that. And because of the fact that we do things like the Cypher Sundays and other smaller events, you get artists that come around. Like I used to see Hayes all the time. There's other artists that we see all the time. So of course they're going to be more on our radar than somebody that we never see, or somebody who contacts us and be like, oh, well, I got to deal with such and such and I'm a big deal, and we've never heard of them. So that's a byproduct of any scene.
So let me just say this: do you feel like in St. Louis is it a more in person thing? Because I feel like if we started, if Slumfest, the other STL Fest, the other artists, I feel like if there was more of, I think that's what we're stuck at, is that in order to do business, we have to know people. Sean Cotton from Say Cheese TV, he does not know. I can guarantee you, he probably knows them now, but I guarantee you he didn't have a personal relationship with LA Foes. I guarantee you he haven't have a personal relationship with 30D Grimy, with AMRD Huncho. The thing is because that person I look at it as far as artists, if the person had, or media, whoever it is, it's all about, like you just said, name recognition and name recognition, being present. And then as far as, like you say, I'm gonna pinpoint saying beneficiary. I don't think when you're trying to grow a scene, there is no necessarily thing of a beneficiary, because I can see when a Young Thug is coming to a DJ screen. I can't use that. But coming through a Parlay podcast. Now Parlay was an artist, and now he's a podcaster. You know what I'm saying? There might be a relationship or whatever in there, but Parlay is starting back down at zero. You know what I'm saying?
Let me clear that up real quick. Let me just say this. When we talk about relationships, just the nature of any music scene, they're going to happen. But let me be clear, there are plenty of artists that I personally didn't know about, that all we might have had was their submission for the festival, which may have been like a YouTube video, a SoundCloud clip. And we put those people on the strength of the music and on the strength of their performance, if we can get a glimpse of it. So it's not based on that, but those things start to develop, because if you do something 5-10 years, then I didn't know Hayes when Hayes first got on, but we put them on the strength of what we did know. So we do research. You don't have to have a personal relationship to get on, but just because of the nature of what we do, those relationships are going to develop. We don't close it off to people that we don't know. As a matter of fact, all the artists that you mentioned, LA Force, we had conversations about them when we were planning the 2019 festival. Now, the reason that they didn't get on was not because we didn't know them. The reason, we had other concerns, you know what I mean? And I can't speak for anybody but myself, but I know personally, I wasn't sure. I knew they were popular, you know what I mean? But I was not sure I wasn't sure that I felt that their music outweighed all the other baggage that came with them. You know what I mean? And I don't feel bad about saying that, because I personally made it a priority to research those guys. And I read the outside, right now I'm thinking of the article that I read about them, and I hated the article. It was by a white writer who I think is from here. I'm pretty sure he's from here, but he writes for a New York paper now, I think. And it was about the group, and it was a very exploitive. It was almost like, how it's almost like a white person going to the zoo. And it's like,
that's how he's breaking it down.
The zoo was the rap group. He was talking about LA Force, and the way he was writing about them, I'm like, well, this is the thing. This is why they're getting the outside media, because it's so hyper violent. It's everything that titillates white people. And I'm not saying that they're not talented. I'm not saying that they weren't good at what they did, but it was so much other stuff that came with that I definitely didn't feel obligated to put them on, and I felt like well, these guys are actually doing okay. There's probably some more underground stuff that could use the platform more than they could, you know. And these again, this is how I personally felt. I'm not saying that
Right.
nobody advocated for them. I'm just saying we did know about some of these other acts, but we had to make some decisions. You know what I mean? And whether or not it was the right decision, hey man, time will tell. But those are the kinds of things that we have to do sometimes, and it's not because we don't know about them. And again, some artists we don't know about, but the ones you mentioned, we definitely knew about them. We definitely knew about them.
So and Lifestyle, thank you for breaking it down, because I'm not, like I said before, myself nor Hayes. I don't have a problem. I want Slumfest to come back in full force. I want STL Fest to keep going. I want, because I'm a fan of the music, and
No doubt.
my thing of being a fan of the music, I think it still needs to be a clarification in order for us to really make this pop with the people. Because I feel like if we have more media outlets and there are people following it, you know what I'm saying? If it's 6,000 people following me, it's 7,000 people following this person, it's 7,000 people following that person, working with different producers. But it has to be a breakdown outside of different comfort zones, and different artists from different sides of the track need to work together. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It was certain people that I wanted to see on the song. Like, I wanted to see Lil STL and T-Dub get down. You know what I'm saying? And it's different facets that go on to it. But what do you think caused we're gonna put a pin in this topic, because it kind of bounced off of the Slumfest history and then
Sure.
on to the scene at large. What do you think caused the scene to kind of tank? And
Well,
what do you think can bring it back?
Well, I think that St. Louis is like a lot of other places, and I think that we're kind of better off in some places in the sense that there is a sense of community. You know what I mean? There is a sense of, we do have a network, but we don't have the same infrastructure. If we want to talk about the business end of it, it's like you got a lot of loose cannons kind of running around when we talk about media, especially when we talk about media. Let me say this. I think media is important, and I think that this kind of media is important because, again, I'm gonna speak for myself. Some of the larger, more recognized media that we have, like the RFT, like St. Louis American, just stuff that everybody knows about, they don't really have people that are a staff that knows about hip hop to the extent that's, other people might or care about it, and they never have, so when it comes to that, I'm all for expanding the type of media that we deal with, because this is a living thing. So if we didn't, just because we haven't done it in the past doesn't mean we're not constantly trying to evolve and add on and do things the proper way. So the media thing, I think we can fix. I think we have to be selective still. We still have to deal with something that's going to be positive, something that's going to be, good for the community as a whole. And we just have to talk about it. But that's something that we can work on. And that's something that, can be improved upon, because I think that that's important. As far as the people at large, that's kind of a tough thing, man, because I think you got so many people that don't know where to look for good music, or they depend on the radio, or they depend on validation from outside. So that's kind of a tough thing, because all we can do is provide a place and a space for these artists to express themselves, for them to sell their merchandise, and for them to network and to bring their people out and spread the word. But it's tough in any city for quote unquote local artists, because sometimes getting outside of your immediate fan base is tough, because everybody knows somebody that rap now. You know what I mean? So getting somebody to listen to somebody that they're unfamiliar with can be difficult. But I will say that I think Slumfest is helpful in that way, because it allows, 3,000 people to be somewhere at one time, for a whole day, and you can see as much hip hop as you want, and chances are you can buy something, you can get familiar with something that you wouldn't have been familiar with otherwise. Other
Mm-hmm.
than that, again, the infrastructure in the city as far as the music industry is not. We don't have a ton of that here, where it's just a vibrant place for no matter what kind of music you make. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
for hip hop, you do have some outlets to where not only can you come to our events, but none of us are hard to find. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you have any questions about anything, we can talk about it and we can work it out. And again, to some artists who might be a little disgruntled, sometimes maybe they didn't make the effort that they should have in that regard, because none of us are hard to find. You know what I mean? At all. And none of us ever have been. So as an entity, we're always growing, we're always expanding, and we do listen. When people critique us, we try to look at it and take it for what it is. If somebody has a legitimate complaint against us, we'll talk about it and we'll say, well, is this something that we can improve upon? And that's what we do, and that's what we'll continue to do. Now, as far as whether or not we've done a bang up job the whole time, that's for the people to say. But we are working on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So and we
Mm-hmm.
are constantly listening, and it's a growing thing. It's a living thing.
Mm-hmm. And
As an artist, it's your job to go anywhere in any room and captivate. I don't care who you are, what other. I don't care what nobody else doing around me, dog. I'm gonna walk in that room and do what I do, and that's gonna be that. And I ain't trying to look. I mean, and that's where I feel like people should always have that type of confidence and go anywhere and match with that type of confidence. Because I still feel like now it's places that I might go that my music might not be, because where they at, they talking about something totally different. But I feel like I still can go over there and
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
do my thing still, and still go wherever I feel comfortable at doing my thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So I can go either where. I can go either places and still do my thing, bro. Because doing my thing is doing my thing no matter where I'm at. I can do it in the
Mm-hmm.
I could do it in the basement. I could do it outside in the parking lot. Where you want to do it at? Because it
that's
don't
right.
matter where
Mm-hmm.
we get. I'm gonna do
Thanks.
my thing, bro. Whatever it is that we say we do, if we can do it anywhere, then just do it and don't worry about. Because I still feel like, man, if you're gonna sit up here and then worry about, okay, well, dang, I can't go over there and do this, then you already ain't even confident.
It's
You
always
ain't
Exactly.
an open
confident in
door.
yourself, dog. If you worried about going somewhere and not fitting in,
It's an
Oh
open
yeah.
door. We'll at least listen. We've always, especially when it
man,
comes to the festival, it's man. If you knew how many damn songs we have to
Oh,
listen
I can imagine. I
to
can
figure this
imagine.
stuff out.
I can imagine. And I'm gonna just say this, because
bro.
we a little pressed for time. Not really, but as far as this topic, I mean, it's good lifestyle to hear it from somebody who's sitting on there, because what I didn't like was everybody kind of shooting shots,
Hmm.
regardless of how I felt. I'm always gonna be fair especially when it comes to this platform. This is Hayes podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
He can take it, he can keep it on the network, he can take it off the network, because I feel like Hayes when it comes to doing media. You know what I'm saying? I've been all around
Hmm.
the country and everything else. But my thing I don't like is when a person don't get to tell their side. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I've asked other people that's on the board to come on, on to the platform, but we never sat down and had that conversation. And it's documented. Now can't nobody say, well, they only do this and this, because that's the discourse, and then the back and forth gets to happening, and the damage
Right.
control and all of that. Now people can sit and objectively say, well, we've heard it from this gentleman's mouth, how it goes down and the inner
I
workings.
just
And
don't
then
get
for
it
the people,
still.
hmm?
I just don't get it. I mean,
I mean,
still
but no,
like
but somebody, but it's artists
about
that gonna watch
any
this.
anything they got. I mean, like I just said it, bro. No matter what you do, it's your responsibility to get in the door and wow people and make connections, do this and that, bro. Like to the degree of what you're saying, bro. I mean, like we said, it ain't necessarily aimed for me because I don't feel none of it. I ain't never had a problem with it. So for me, I don't necessarily. I mean,
I
I
mean,
heard
I
what
don't
you're
have a
saying,
problem
and of
either.
course, I used to see it, but I never really experienced. So for me, it's
Appreciate
a
it.
little different.
And let
But
me
I
say one
still
last
feel,
thing as
Yeah,
an
go
yeah,
ahead,
go ahead.
artist.
Lifestyle.
Sometimes another thing we have to look at, especially in this age, sometimes we feel a little bit too entitled. Like I'm an MC, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
to the core. And everybody ain't always ready when they think they are. And sometimes that's another reality. And I'm
Yep.
one of
Boy, you
those
better be
people,
ready, man, if you down there with some wolves, because if you
yeah,
around helping them and
yo,
them niggas, if you around Dub them and them niggas is freestyling,
yeah. I mean, I
I
had
don't,
people
I don't
tell
care
me
who you
no.
I don't care who you claim you are, dog. If you can't hang with them, stop it.
Before there was a high
Cause
point,
they gonna
before there
go
was
in.
anything, yeah, I had people tell me straight up, no. You know what I'm saying? These were people that I looked up to. So I had to work my way into the situation that I got into, and I had to fight and work. And I did that, and I'm glad I did. You know, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people want something just because they rap. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, it's more to it than that. And you're
No,
not
lifestyle.
entitled to
We come from
anything, you
lifestyle
know.
that's your reputation, lifestyle. You being down at the high point, being down at the Blueberry Hill, like you can get embarrassed being up in there.
Yeah.
Like, like you can
Yeah.
get straight up embarrassed being around down there, being whacked or coming up in there
Yep.
around some real wolves, around some real spitters. You
Mm-hmm.
gonna
Exactly.
get embarrassed, dog. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like the people who only disgruntled about anything, or the people who probably lacking in something, or they not confident in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because
That's very possible. But
you can't be 100% confident in worrying about what anybody gotta say. Now, if you feeling about some type of way about some awards or something, that may be something personal. Because like we saying, around that time when I was hearing this stuff, it always was said, man, if you don't like what's going on, then you can just go off and go do your own thing. Because guess what? There's always an option for you to go off and start your own thing.
as a member
Mm-hmm.
of the board, no award is going to make or break you in
Exactly.
any way that matters.
Guess
You
what? From
know,
Slumfest to the Grammys.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. If we give it to
So
you, we mean it. But if we don't, you'll still be okay. If
We
you're meant
just
to do what
said
you're gonna
that
do, you'll be
Kanye pissed
fine.
on a Grammy and Rob and Dude felt some type of way.
yeah, yeah.
Come on now.
Um, Let me ask you this question: from back then to right now, which era has the best music, or is it all in the same vein? Just the times have changed.
Oh man, this is the one question I've been thinking about since like yesterday. I'm partial. I'm partial to like the mid to late 90s, but honestly, I think there's always been good music. It's just the way that we access it has kind of changed. I think
Yeah,
now you kind of got to dig a little deeper sometimes to find the good stuff, but there's always great music being made, man. I think it was more in our face again, I'm partial to the mid to late 90s
I'm
because
partial.
it was easier to get to it, you know, but I think there's great music being made right now. You know, we just got to point people in the right direction and dig for it.
Okay. All right. What you
Mm.
think, Hayes?
I'm gonna definitely have to say maybe when Tupac was alive, like around that era, 95, 4, 3 on back. That's my era when I was in middle school and stuff like that. Of course, we had the Ja Rule and stuff like that, 50 Cent. It was a lot of people that was out like real heavy hitters. Like it wasn't no play out. Everybody sounded different. Everybody was their own entity. It wasn't nothing that sounded the same with everything. But for me, the music I love and listen to, it come from the golden age of hip hop. Like me and Lifestyle got a song called Golden Age, bro.
Yep, yep, yep.
That
Mm.
sample Black Moon. That song, who got the props, was a song that I actually remember like hearing on the radio at that age. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
We lost my
we
boy
lost.
again.
We lost them, but we gonna go ahead and hit another commercial break, man. Uh, Beats and Bits podcast
Yep.
Friday
Shout
at
out to
9
everybody tapped
p.m.
in too, because they going
Yes,
in,
sir.
man.
Hit me up, little shawty, hit me up. Hit me up, little shawty, hit me up. Hit me up, little shawty, hit me up. Hit me up, little shawty, hit me up.
All right, and we back. So I gotta fix that too, y'all. Friday, 9 p.m. Central Time. But we back.
Okay,
Um,
so that Black Moon song came out in '93. So that
Yeah,
goes, you know what I'm saying, like right there.
mhm.
So I'm
I feel
I'm 6 years old listening to that. 7 years, you know what I'm saying? But I remember that sound, and shout out to DJ Smitty once again, man. And
yes,
I think
sir.
me and him just had a conversation about it. Like, yeah, bro, I remember the song. Next thing I know, he came with the beat. Like
That's
he
dope.
flipped it, he remixed it, boom. But yeah, man. But that for me though, that's that era of hip hop. But like I said earlier, I listen to all music though. I listen to Lil Durk. I listen to all of it.
Yeah, that's
Lil
what's up,
Baby.
man.
But I also go back and I listen to, everything else from the hip hop to the R&B to jazz to just whatever I think feel good. I'm not just in one lane or just stuck in one thing.
Right. That's
mhm.
what's up, man.
So I encourage everybody else and my kids like kind of do the same thing.
Me, I agree that it's great music. I feel like the popular music has kind of taken over, and there's music that's great out there. It's just like Lifestyle said, you have to dig deep. You have to get outside your musical comfort zone. You have to challenge yourself to get out of the musical pattern. Because I get into them slumps where I listen to like hip hop a lot, and I'll download a lot of hip hop, and then I'll delete it and I'll listen to gospel. I'll
Yeah.
delete that and listen to rock. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Or I'll keep certain stuff into my playlist or my rotation. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm always looking for something new to listen to. I'm always looking for something different to put in my ear gate, because you got different people's stories, you got different time periods, you got different eras. um, and I grew up in a household, gospel, jazz, R&B,
Mhm.
Mhm.
oldies. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that influenced me. And
Yeah.
pop music. I was in a suburban community a third of my life, New Jersey. Rest in peace to my aunt and uncle. And I
Mhm.
would hear mostly pop hits. So it's a lot of I like a lot of pop music as well.
Yeah.
Um, my next question as far as you know um Well, the next topic really is why D riding your way to the top is not a form
Yeah.
of transportation for folks
For
Mhm.
like
folks
me and
like
you.
us.
Yeah.
Well, like I say for me, and then I mean, it pretty much goes without saying, man. I feel like basically what that mean is in the line of business that we in. I feel like some people sometimes want you to. Have you ever talked to somebody and it almost be like they want to tell you their accomplishments, and then it's like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you mine. We're not gonna go back and forth on that. I do
Right.
understand that sometimes that people be on that, but it's like for me, I'm not gonna be on that type of time with people. It's like, man, D riding. So basically, to me, that sounds like you want me to just be jocking you all day, and I'm an artist, I'm a boss too.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm just not on. That's a fan. That's what you call a fan, or somebody who's into you and spending money in you. I just seen an article that they said that Eminem, Travis Scott, and there were some more people on there, but they were saying that they fans spend the most money. Like
Yeah. Facts.
on them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you look at them, you can see it. Okay, yeah, you see why Eminem and Travis Scott and them, because they fans spend the most money per year on them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what that's what they do. Now another boss night, you know what I'm saying? I'm rock with you, I'm support you, but that's you know what I'm saying, like how far do you want that to go? Because I feel like potentially we gonna do business together. I mean, I'm not a fanboy.
And that
Right.
goes to that ties into the next topic. Why flexing on the wrong person can hinder you in the long run in business. I see it all the time. I see a lot of people, man, that they'll flex on people on the way up, people that had their back, people that supported them. And I also see a lot of that in the city too, where okay, a person might have earned a position,
Mhm.
but we're all a collective of artists. This is not, I mean, it is a
Yeah.
competition, but because we all are trying to purvey this scene, it shouldn't be a competition like that.
Right, that's what I'm
Like
saying.
it's not like we're compete. It's not the Hunger Games. We're not competing. Like, it's enough money to go around. Now it's different levels to
So
the
if you want
game,
me
of
to
course.
deride you, are you flexing on me?
Yeah, they gonna
Or
people
you
gonna
trying
come
to flex
around.
on me? Because now you
People
want me to
come
just be like, ooh, just to get next to you and do business with you. You want me to be on some more, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like on some more hip shit.
and hanging
Right.
around and wasting time and stuff. I see it all the time. So it's like, you know, um, and that's where lifestyle. I kind of feel, and I talked to Hayes about this too. I kind of feel when he was talking about being present and being on the radar. I feel like there are some art instances and some artists. Now, some artists I can hang around all day, and certain people from the scene I can hang around all day. I've made a lot of different friends and connections through Slumfest, and I have to thank each and every one of y'all, Rob Boo, Fenster, so and so, everybody,
Mm-hmm.
yourself, for that. Because some of my best times and best nights have been on the South Side with you guys. So, um, but what I do see, and I've seen it, I've dealt with it myself, and I've also seen it in person with other people in passing. I do feel like there are inflated egos on certain people, and
Oh
some of
yeah.
those people didn't stand the test of time. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
that's inevitable. I mean,
Right.
that's human nature, and especially when you're dealing with artists, that's something that's always going to happen. You
Hmm.
know, so yeah, I mean, you can't really get around that. And personally, I think it's just best to stay grounded,
Yeah.
and do what you do. And to Hayes' point, I'll say one thing that has kind of hurt things in the scene in the past that we talked about between when the high point existed to now is the fake relationships. Is the thing where everybody's acting like the
They
king of the
cool.
hill. And yeah, you want to be next to the man or whatever. And even though this cat really ain't doing nothing, you know what I mean? But possibly
Yeah.
possibly giving you the image that he's doing something, he or she.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fake relationships and things, and it's all for nothing. You know what I mean? Nobody ends up getting anywhere. So
Yeah.
it's better to just be sincere and just do what you do. But again,
Hmm.
those things are going to happen sometimes. You're going to have fake people. You're going to have people with inflated egos.
Yeah.
But as long as we can recognize that for what it is and keep moving forward, then I think we'll be okay. But when we start getting caught up in these egos or start getting caught up in these fake relationships, playing the game essentially, then that's when we all kind of end up playing
Yeah, man, I
ourselves.
got you, man. And I'm gonna hit you with my
Right?
dude. I got you, bro. All right, man.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh
Just
You
got
don't
to
yeah.
never heard.
recognize it. Yeah.
Then see you again. Oh yeah, bro. What's up? It's just gonna be
Hmm.
the same repeating story once over again. But
Basically.
though, to all in all, me and Zone have had this conversation about media and not just with it with the slum, but just in media in general. Like he did say with the whole St. Louis and how at one point I don't think people really understood that we need media outlets just as well as we need rappers, I guess, and just other entities to the music business, not just rappers, I guess I want to say. Like we don't need just all rappers. Like we do
Right.
need media for sure.
We need producers, we need DJs, we need marketing, we
We
need
need all
a whole
aspect of the music business. It's not just rap.
Oh, for sure.
facts.
The rap is like the glamorous thing. So people, or they think it's glamorous till you actually start doing it. But it looks good from the outside looking in. So everybody wants to do that. But that kind of takes care of itself. Because once things get
Yeah.
rough, the people that's not really down, they don't stick around.
Hmm. So for our final topic for the night, this is a Facebook question that we got. Can a man, as a stepfather, love another man's child as his own?
Of
And I'm
course.
gonna go last.
I'm gonna say yes. I think the way that we should look at each other in general is that what's good for a community is good for the world. So the first community or the first government that you have is in your own house. No
Yeah.
matter who's in that house, that's where you got to find your peace, and that's where you have to protect, everything of value. And I'm talking about the people within that house. So I feel like if a woman has a child and you're in a relationship with that child, or you're in a relationship with that woman, if you can't provide and care for that child, then you should probably move on. If you can't
Yeah.
do that, that's how I feel about that.
Hmm. Um, go ahead, hey.
I mean, actually, you go ahead because for me, I grew up with my father in the house, and I am a father to my 3 kids right now. Like I'm in their life, so I
Um,
couldn't really speak from experience, but I can speak from a place from just common sense and just common knowledge of just knowing like if a woman want to be with a man and the man not the father of the kids, it's like what I mean if he don't love your kids, then why would you want to be with him?
um, I from my experience, because I dealt with it and I've explained my situation and how I felt, before and everything else and everything that kind of not everything, but the
I'm just saying.
incident that transpired. I'm gonna just say for me, you can love that child, but if that woman does not respect you, if that woman does not trust you with her child, if
Hmm.
you're like Lifestyle said, if you're not coming in and providing, and if you can handle that, because I found myself not being able to handle it and probably staying a little bit longer than I should have because it wasn't monetary. Because I'm
Right.
always go out there and get it. I was raised, in a single parent household, so I didn't really have that judgment. For a long time, I did, but as I got older, I understood. I said, man, if I had somebody, but you can't project that feeling too, that they should be appreciative because they can feel like, well, I've been doing this, I just need you to be here. I feel like a lot of times when people talk about this stepfather thing, it's different roles that you have to be in. You may only be there for the woman. She may need you to help with the bills, but then that creates a problem within you because if you're ready to have children, if you don't have children, or if you have other children, then I mean I think it's easier if you have other children because then you kind of have to have come to a happy medium. But if you don't have children, it's probably better for you just to stay away. You could date this woman, you can have a good time and hang out with her, but as far as taking her seriously, like I don't think unless that woman, like I said, she has to love you. She has to get to know you. She has to, acknowledge and experience and accept your character. And if
Hey,
she does not, then you need to move around. Like it don't fit it even if you feel some type of way for her, you might feel some type of way for the child if you were introduced to the child. But I feel as though you can love because I had love for my ex-girlfriend's son, um but the direction that I wanted us to take with him, because it was things going on in the home and with the dad and everything else like that. It was a direction that needed to be executed to
yeah.
kind of course correct some of those things. But when you're dealing with somebody else's child, you can't necessarily project those things because it's going to come off as criticism.
Especially
It's going
though
to
if the
come off.
father though is in a child life though.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like most
Like
of the
the
time, they're
father
not.
just not with the mother, but he's still around.
No,
Just
but being in a child's life is varying levels and degrees. Just like we were just talking about being an MC or being whatever, it's levels and degrees. A lot of these guys aren't in their child's life. They might be there physically, but they're not there emotionally. They're not there socially. They're not there, in the
yeah.
trenches with that mother or with that family who they had the child with. They could be
But that's what
present.
I'm saying. Why would a woman shouldn't want to even be with a man that's not trying to accept her kids?
But that's we not talking about. We talking about the daddy. We not talking about the man that's coming in to be the stepdaddy. If you can accept it, I can accept the kids all day long. But if you don't trust me to be it, a lot of guys don't accept them because the woman is not going to allow them to actually be that child's father. Because, like you just said, they have a father physically present. If he's not dead or in jail, he's physically present. Whether he's on the scene or not on the scene or partially in the scene or whatever, a lot of women nowadays, from my experience, looking online, talking to different women, they want you to come in, help them raise the child monetarily, and y'all together. You know what I'm saying? You don't necessarily have a say so on the child's life, and they don't have a say. If you have children, they don't. Y'all
Yeah.
are just co-parenting in a circle. So it's best for a lot of brothers, because I done been through it. I didn't the experience that probably had the worst experience. Not saying that it was bad all the way through, or not trying to throw the sister under the bus or the
But it
child
wasn't
under the
your
bus.
child though. But
Exactly. But my point is this. I'm trying to get exactly, hey, but I'm trying to get to the point. The point is, if you can love the child, but if you can't parent that child the way that you see fit, if you and that person that you with can't parent those children, it's gonna all be for naught. It's gonna all be a waste of time, because you're gonna either feel inadequate as this woman's man and as a father or stepfather, or they're not going to trust you to be with this person. I mean, be with them and their child. So that's pretty much the answer to that question. You can love them all day long, but do they respect you? Do they respect
man,
your authority? You know what I'm saying? So that's that on that.
I think Lifestyle broke it down too. He broke it down pretty good. You broke it down pretty good. And then it goes without saying.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else y'all brothers want to say, man, before we get up out of here?
Oh man, this has been great, man. Salute y'all brothers, man. I enjoyed it.
Man, just that barbershop talk, bro. We just get on here and
Man.
keep shit for a
Yeah,
little minute.
great convo, man. It was helpful, again for me, as far as Slumfest and all of that. Yeah, y'all have contributed to the future of Slumfest, because I don't take these conversations lightly,
Yeah.
So yeah, just good looking out, man. I appreciate it. I salute y'all cats. I'll be tuning in and spreading the word and all of that, man. So I appreciate it, man. Peace, y'all.
All right, bro.
All right. When you
We
got
out
something to
this
say,
thing.
hey,
You already know.
we out.
Nah, man. You Ain't Lying podcast. Come back next Wednesday, man. Y'all look, same time, same place. You already know what it is. CMW Hayes, special guest Lifestyle. Thank you, man, for sliding through. My dog, DJ
Thank you.
Killzone Jones. Come back with us. We're giving y'all that barbershop talk, man. We out.
We out.
For the fam, get it by
Thanks.
any
Thanks, y'all.
means. Going Jordan, rocking 6 rings. Blue Gang 12s on Montclair lounge pants. With a white tee round my neck, the Jesus piece. Building like Noah's Ark, they ain't wanna believe in me. Give me some time, but it's blowing up like TNT.